Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this panel. This panel is scheduled for 8:45 a.m., which is 3 minutes away from now. But we are going to wait a few more minutes for people to join us. So feel free to grab some coffee or snacks so you can enjoy this panel even better with snacks and coffee. Thank you. Okay, student committee, should we just start or do we want to wait for another 5 minutes for more people to join? We should just start, okay? Yeah, all right, great. So again, good morning for everyone in Indonesia and good afternoon or evening for everyone tuning in from different parts of the world. Welcome to the panel presentation 1A, Moving Image and Visual Society. I'm Dr. Azalia Muransya, and I teach at the film program of Bina Nusantara University in Alam Sutra, Tangerang, Indonesia. My pronouns are she, her. I'm an Asian Malay woman with black shoulder-length hair, and I am wearing a brown shirt and makeup on my face. And I'm going to moderate this panel from my hometown, Bogor, Indonesia. So before we begin, I would like to read the rules and conduct, which you can also find in the program book. So first, all presenters and participants are invited to activate their videos during the whole event. By activating your video camera during the event, you are respecting the speakers and others that are present during the event. But also please mute your mic while the presenters are presenting. And we can also start our discussions after all presenters have presented their papers. 2, all presenters and participants are expected to present themselves properly and clearly during the event. And this is achieved by using our virtual background to reduce distractions that may occur from your surroundings. And again, to mute your microphone when you're not speaking to reduce background noise, and also to use proper profile picture on your Zoom account during the event. Also use a clear name for your Zoom account during the event, and to refrain chatting messages that may interfere or disrupt others in the Zoom meeting. 3, All presenters and participants are prohibited from smoking during the Zoom meeting to adhere to the university's guidelines. As I mentioned earlier, I think eating and drinking, not just coffee. Yeah, coffee is my personal preference, but if you want to drink water or juice or whatever, you are welcome to do so, but please don't smoke. And then I also would like to inform you that the whole IMOVICCON 2021 event will be recorded for the documentation and publication. And by joining IMOVICCON 2021, you are giving consent to letting us record and to use the recorded material. To ensure its participant can participate in this online discussion, after all of the presenters have spoken, there are some guidelines regarding the methods for discussions. So the first one is that you can use the raise hand option, and I will then welcome you to speak. And then after that, you can also use the chat box. So you can leave a message and I will welcome you to speak or read your message for you. Due to time constraints, not all questions or participants may be able to speak or ask during the event. And as the moderator of this panel, I will have the right to moderate the session accordingly. Okay, so let's start. This morning, we actually have 4 fantastic presentations. The first one is ZF Jasmine from Bandung Institute of Technology in Indonesia, with her presentation, The Effects of User-Generated Content on Social Media Advertising Strategy in a Case Study of #Gundala Fan Art campaign for the 2019 movie Gundala. The second speaker is Monica Feralda from Universitas Pelita Harapan, Indonesia, with her presentation Semiotics Analysis in the Symbolic of Colors on the 2018 movie Ave Maria. The third one is our third presentation, which is titled Designing a 2D Animated Music Video with the Case Study of the Song Pengingat by Kunto Aji. And it's going to be presented by YKL Sanchia and A. Zulkarnain from Universitas Pelita Harapan, Indonesia. And our fourth presentation will be from M. Roselyn and NY Herianto from Universitas Pelita Harapan, Indonesia, with their presentation, Composition Methods in Creating Storyboard Novel, My Idiot Brother. Each presenter will have 10 minutes maximum for presenting their article. Okay, sorry for that. Let's just wait. And then while presenting, the moderator and committee may remind the presenter when there is only 3 minutes time remaining for their presentation. So just in case I face interruption with my internet connection, I will hand it to the committee to move forward with the presentations while I'm trying to connect back to this Zoom meeting. Okay, so without further ado, I would like to welcome our first presenter, Jasmine. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So good morning, everyone. I'm Zahwa Fatia Jasmine from the Faculty of Art and Design in Bandung Institute of Technology. And I would like to present my paper about the user-generated content and social media advertising strategy regarding #Gundala Fan Art. So a little bit of an introduction first and some concepts. UGC or user-generated content is or are content generated not by the advertiser or the firms, but still affects consumer behavior. So UGC and social media advertising is pretty new. It's still there's not much formulated. It's not been formulated too much yet, and it still has many varying outcomes. UGC differs from PGC or producer generated content in that producer generated content are usually seen in the form of endorsements or paid promotions in which the firms actually take part in what the content is about. So I have 2 examples here just for comparison. The one on the left is #ShareACoke. So it's from 2014 and it encouraged people to buy a specific Coke and share it on social media with the hashtag. So the Coke cans has specific names on it, or sometimes relationship labels such as mom, dad, best friend. And of course, the main point of the campaign is that you share those moments with your loved ones to social media and inadvertently also promote Coca-Cola. So according to Mendoza from 2017, the sales for Coke that year actually did was it actually increased a bit significantly, and it was helped by this campaign. And I'm sure a lot of people still remember the Coca-Cola brand from this specific way of marketing where you would share a can with your name on it. On the other hand, on the right of the screen there, we've got hashtag Cosby meme from around the same year in late 2014. So at that time, the celebrity Bill Cosby had multiple sexual assault allegations, and the official Twitter for Bill Cosby encouraged people to download or use this website, billcosby.com, to generate a meme or a meme or edit an image with his face on it, and to make jokes. But it quickly backfired, and people started using the meme generator to make jokes of his sexual assault allegations or to talk about sexual assault in general. Um, so what was supposed to be a way to share kind of more positive image of the celebrity turned into a way to worsen his image, and the app was quickly shut down. But of course, people can still screenshot and they can still edit the images themselves. So there's still a digital paper trail there. So from these two examples, hopefully we can see how the UJC in the past have affected a brand's reputation just by how the audience responded to the call for user-generated content. Okay, so advertising is, as a quick recap, advertising is a way for, it's kind of a persuasive message sent to usually a public or specific audience. So social media advertising is the form of persuasive messages on the platform of social media. What's special about social media from traditional advertising venues is that it makes it possible for advertisers or firms to interact and collaborate freely with other firms or their own audience. This freedom usually or may affect the decision making process while planning an advertising campaign. Interaction social media is more instant, intimate, or personal. You can direct message a firm, although you will be talking to a social media person, but it feels more direct than traditional advertising, and it's kind of a two-way influence in a way, because obviously consumers are now heavily influenced by what they see on social media, or at least what the firm is acting like on social media. And on the other hand, advertisers now have to change or develop their marketing strategies, keeping certain social media features or audience in mind. So it's kind of a two-way influence there. And according to Bahtaran Muda, information flow in social media is considered rapid or fast, and it affects consumers instantly. Of knowledge flow, which could be from consumer to consumer or consumer to business. And the user contribution objective, which could be in the form of product promotion or product innovation. This is a little bit more detailed. So just explanation from the left, top left. So informing, it pushes product related information sharing between consumers and usually raises the brand awareness through discussion and discourse. This is a very simple form of UJC. You can usually see it as in the form of user reviews, such as on IMDb or Rotten Tomatoes or online sellers review, and it can stimulate or create a buzz around new products. Okay, and next is pioneering. It focuses on gaining product innovation from users and sharing state innovations with other users. So, according to Owen and Kale, this is usually done by what's called a lead user. A lead user are people who are most knowledgeable or most experienced in a specific product. So, for example, people who are fan of extreme sports may develop their own tools to support their hobby, and they can share that with other users without really a firm needing to publish that innovation to other users. So that's one example of pioneering. The next is co-communicating. So it's an call to urge product promotion from the user and sharing that promotion to be used accordingly by the advertiser or firm. This is usually in a call for open call for promotional material. For example, a certain indie music producer could be asking for her fans to submit their own edits or versions of her music video, and then she will use that to promote the video later. And next is co-creating. It pushes product innovation from users for the purpose of being used by the advertiser or products firm. An example of this is the online apparel and accessories manufacturer Threadless.com, which they don't have in-house designers, so they rely on crowdsourcing designs that they will later manufacture and sell on their shop.
Zahwa, you only have 2 minutes left.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So, just a quick information of Gundala 2019. It kickstarted the Bumilangit Cinematic Universe franchise that reboots classic local superhero comics and hashtag Gundala fan art. It reached 700 posts until the release day, and it wasn't only local artists but also some overseas artists that participated, such as David Ross. So, the social media clearly bypasses geographical boundaries. So what I wanted to point out about Gundala here is that it is marketed with such a local pride. First of all, the tagline, Negeri ini butuh patriot, or this nation is a patriot. Um, the main character is kind of a everyman working class character. It's different from its original version where he's kind of a scientist. And a lot of reviews says the main character is unadorned or humble. So it has a local setting, it's a local production, and the story and themes of of the movie is about between the fantasy elements. It's basically about the mistrust between people and the representatives in the government. So it's a pretty relatable story for a lot of local Indonesians. And there's a first appearance by Haria Suraminata in 1969. A lot of Bumi Langit franchise came from classic superhero comics from that era. So it had a very good feedback and it was a quite strong and competent opening for the franchise, but due to the pandemic, all other filming kind of stopped. But all in all, it had a pretty good review, 6.3 out of 10, 80%, or 4 out of 5 on Google reviews. Here are the proposed research questions. How does the UJC implementation affect the success of social media advertising? How does the hashtag Gundala fan art campaign affect the movie Gundala? And how would one effectively utilize the implementation of UJC in social media advertising? Uh, in this paper, I will be using a case study method. So it basically uses the original context as the phenomenon happened. So I will be mostly talking about the hashtag Gundala fan art up until the release of the film. Okay. So first of all, hashtag Gundala fan art as a UJC advertising, I categorize it into reforming because it encouraged product promotion to visual mediums such as fan art, and the knowledge flows from customer directly to another customer through social media. All right. First of all, how does the UJC implementation affect success of social media advertising? So basically, whether negative or positive, the response generated by UJC has a significant influence over the brand or product's reputation. UJC can appear more prominent or effective in a social media platform because the very nature of social media platform themselves allow for a very intimate, collaborative, and free interaction between its users. So this freedom of interaction gives extra credibility for audience because it's not the firms talking about the product, it's other users. So there's less bias to be seen there. And UJC also stimulates the product discussion and may make people more accepting of new products because the information are easily spread and easily internalized by the social media users, again because of the heightened credibility. So from consumers point of view, UJC seems more credible, less biased, but from the advertiser's point of view, this means there's a little bit more risk and benefit degree happening. For example, a negative perception will be very quick to spread and internalized by the audience. For example, as we've seen before, the hashtag Cosby meme, it's really hard to get rid of those those memes that are basically worsening the brand of the celebrity itself. There's a little bit of a diagram there to the left, kind of a pipeline of how the UJC affects the social media advertising. So UJC affects the public's perception of said product very easily or very quickly. And in the end, the consumer decision becomes influenced by the public's perception of the product, which was, of course, influenced by the content generated by other users.
Zahwa, can you please wrap it up, and then we can probably talk about it later during the discussion.
Okay, so just going to wrap it up in a quick conclusion, basically. Um, so the Gunela hashtag Gunela fan art campaign worked very well for the movie Gunela because of two things that should be considered by firms when designing a UJC, uh, which is whether or not the UJC itself works with the projected brand image of the product, and what is the previous relationship the customer has with both the brand and the product, because two of these things significantly affects how the customer or potential audience sees the product. And if not planned well, it may be ineffective or even has a negative reputation towards the brand. So maybe that's the conclusion for now.
Thank you so much. Should I call you Zahwa or Jasmine? I'm not so sure.
Zawa is
Zahwa,
fine.
right? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Zahwa, for that presentation. And then again, we can discuss it a little bit further in our discussion and Q&A. The next one, we have Monica Feralda. And
Thank you.
Monica, the floor is yours. Do we have Monica? I don't see her here. Okay. Seems like we don't have Monica at this moment. Maybe she's still trying to connect with us. So let's just move on to our third presenters. We have Sanchia and Zulkarnain. I hope I pronounce your
Yeah, it's actually my last name.
So how should I address
Juju.
you then?
It's much more.
Juju. Okay, Juju. Then the floor is yours.
Thank you. I'm gonna share my screen. Where is it? Wait, something's wrong. Oh, Monica is already here. Shall we go with her first, or because I'm with
okay,
myself?
Monica, are you here? Are you ready with your presentation, Monica?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay.
Sorry.
So you went to the wrong breakout room.
Yep. I went to 1B.
Okay. Well, if you're ready, you can start sharing your screen
Okay.
and start your presentation.
Okay. So.
Can you put it on presentation mode?
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. I'm gonna start now. Okay. Good morning, honorable lecturers, fellow speakers, and participants. Thank you for the opportunity of speaking before all of you. Without further ado, I will present my article I wrote with the help of my lecturers titled Semiotics Analysis of Colors on Ave Mariam. And my name is Monica Veralda. I'm from Universitas Harapan. First of all, a movie must have a purpose and a message according to the director's visions and plans on the world. Yet, every individual has their own perspective, ideology, opinion, and culture background, and this difference results in different interpretation of a movie. But viewers can still analyze a movie with theories that has been studied for generations, for instance, semiotics theory, feminism theory, psychoanalysis, etc. And now we will analyze how Robi Ertanto, as the director, the writer, and the producer of Ave Mariam, conveys messages through symbolics of colors using method of semiotics theory. But before that, what is semiotics? Semiotics is a study of signs. It revolves around things that can be categorized as a sign or one thing that represents another thing. This sign could appear as words, images, sounds, gestures, or objects. Essentially, every film theory always analyzes and makes presumptions of films and connections with the real world. Film and sign are two inseparable things. A movie must have many signs in every scene that have different meanings from what's seen in the frame. With some conventions, culture, and through the characters in the movie, viewers can make interpretations about the signs shown in the movie. Now, the methodology that is used in this article is qualitative analysis method through literature study, convention, and culture study to create a proper semiotics analysis by Roland Barthes in analyzing the symbols of Ave Mariam by analyzing denotative signifier and denotative signified. Now, first, in Ave Mariam, the first symbol that will catch viewers' eyes would be the dream that Mariam has. She finds herself still in her monastery non-clothing since she is a nun, opening a couple of windows which brings her to a view of wide open sea. After that, a blue butterfly starts to flutter at her right, and it catches her attention. In some cultures and beliefs, blue butterflies are said to be a message of a wish come true. Mariam lives in a monastery and opens this red window, representing her free spirit and thinking to see the world outside of the monastery. And the blue butterfly that has similar color to her dress is also her spirit that can fly, but still afraid to fly in distance. On to the second scene. If we pay close attention to Mariam's clothing, she always wears neutral colors or colors that don't stand out. But this time, on her birthday, she wears a long pink dress that known to represent femininity.
Monica, are you there? It seems like she's frozen. Monica?
Yes?
You were interrupted. After you mentioned the dress, you were interrupted because of your connection, I think.
Okay, I'm sorry. Um, um, After I mentioned the dress, right?
The red dress.
Okay. So if we pay close attention, she wears pink dress. For decades, pink, the color pink, has been known to represent femininity. It expresses a nurturing, caring, and empathetic love. In other times, pink symbolizes fragility and weakness. The pink in Mariam's dress shows that she is embracing her full femininity by going out to the beach with her forbidden lover. But after that event, Mariam again has a dream, where she finds herself in the beach. But this time she is soaked wet from the seawater, probably not wearing any clothing. Her dream of being free as the water in the sea, is granted. She finally tastes freedom, love, and embraces her femininity with the man she loves. But Mariam's face doesn't show that she is happy or satisfied. On the contrary, she looks anxious, guilty, and terrified. The color of the sky in her dream resembles to the scene where she committed her sin on the beach before. The color yellow, even though it usually means joy, optimism, and happiness, sometimes it represents cowardice, illness, jealousy, and betrayal. Now, here we can conclude that Mariam has betrayed her oath of being pure and holy, as a Catholic nun should be. So, in the end, analyzing a movie through its symbols and signs cannot be separated from subjectivity. If two individuals come from different cultures, say, their interpretation of one thing would be different. But one thing we can do is to learn about culture and its diversity and to see things from multiple perspectives. Semiotics theory is one of the credible theories that can conform with the changing and globalizing world. Thus, it is widely used by movie makers and movie critics to create analogous ideas and opinions about a movie. So that's all of my presentation. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you, Monica. And then next we can move on with Juju. Are you ready now?
50% ready, but I got so nervous, friend.
Don't be. Okay, so if you're ready, you can share your screen and start your presentation.
Is it visible already? Thank God. It's on. Okay. Wait. All right. Good morning to the moderator and participants. My name is Yuventia, but you can address me as Juju. And today I will be presenting my topic about designing a 2D animated music video with Kunto Ajiz's song called Pengingat as a study case. So in the modern era like today, of course, hearing the word depression is not something foreign to us. Stress has become a part of life for students due to expectations that parents bring upon their children and social expectations. So the connection between stress and depression is very complex and repetitive. In the book of The End of Stress as We Know It by Bruce McEwen, it is explained that if a person is feeling stress, it will lead to depression. So what should we do to reduce stress? Well, actually listening to music is very effective to reduce stress, and one of the ways, yeah. And the music itself is a sound that is listened to by the audiences, and the sound conveys messages, which depends if the musicians wants to or not. The song that is perfect for this project is Kunto Ajiz's Pengingat, which was released on April 6, 2015. It conveys messages for youths who are taking higher education to not give up and remind them that they've done well. Hence, the song is perfect to be created in the music video. This presentation will specifically discuss the process of the making of the animated MV, from creating the concept, the story, and the visual. And for the theories, I use the relevant ones, such as 12 principles of animation, motion design, and the monochromatic visions. And I'm not gonna explain all of them because it's too much. And the methodology, I'm using Landa's design process. So in orientation, it's explained the research data based on studies about the song and the issue regarding the message that the singer wants to convey. The analysis is where we finally decided what kind of concept fits the song and decide the target audiences. Conception is where we're looking for references to create the image of the MV. Design is where the process of making the MV, such as storyboards, sketching thumbnails, and beat boards. And lastly, we have an implementation where after the concept has finally done, we can start animating and then compositing. So for the orientation, I was helped by interviewing the singer himself and also doing some researches from internet. So the story that I created is based from singer's perspective. Okay, so we go to discussions. Okay, so because the music video has a plot that consists of two different worlds, the keyword urban will represent the real world, while the keyword fun will represent the imaginative world. And to find that, I'm using the concept mapping method by Joseph Dunovoc. So the real world is shown in black and white color, while the fun is shown in colorful animations and backgrounds. And why I choose these two forms is because why I choose specifically fun, because the song is really upbeat and actually it's kind of match it will match also the kind of happy lyrics. And the color palette for the keyword fun is not the same in every scene. Every palette represents the mood and also the lyric of the song. This is like so right there's, and the style is actually referenced from Spider-Man, Miles Morales. And also for the character design, I was inspired by the singer himself and I make it a little bit stylized. And the plot is actually very simple. The main character, called Judah, is a college student and is in his last years, which he already failed many times. And the timeline in the music video will be his last chance and he is almost giving up. And suddenly he met his past self, which is his kid version, Judah, whose role is to remind him about the hard work he has been doing and to tell him that it's all right to rest for a while. And the plot was made with the help of a 3-act structure from Studio Binder. Also, is based on the real places in Jakarta, and to match the storyline of the music, the places are also chosen really carefully. The environment took places in South Jakarta and also using MRT because it's very common, and because I made it like Judah will go to his campus using trains and all. Okay, and if it's all right with you, I'm gonna show you a teaser of my MV. It's just for, a glimpse about it. Yeah, that's it. Haha, I'm so shy. All right, conclusions. Oh, it's almost over. I talked so fast. I'm so sorry. Okay, this project was made again to convey the message from the song Pengingat with help of visuals and storyline. Regarding the issue of stress, Pengingat is perfect song to pick, and the storyline is mostly relatable to some youngsters and to some of, actually, I haven't talked about it, but actually some of my friends from another campuses, some of them are failing, but I was really shocked because they're still not giving up, and so this was kind of a little bit inspiration of that. And during the process, there's much new knowledge learned from the theories and also in technical. Like, for example, during the pre-production, to make a storyboard has to accomplish 2 steps first. which is sketching the thumbnail and also making the beatboard. And it was really a fun process, and there was many revision. And also in animation, it is needed to be an expert at solid drawing to avoid choppy animations and also to maintain the character space, which is still very difficult for me. But actually, I'm glad that I'm at least learning something. And every line, color, and movement needs to be very consistent, because if the line thickness change, the impact will be very crucial. It is a new knowledge for the writer, and which is for me, not only learned about the lighting also, but also learned the importance of consistency, because it's something that I'm really like of. Surely there are many ups and downs while working on this project, but as long, this is like a message for everyone, as long as hoping in this one will come. Yeah. All right. Thank you for your attention. If there are any mistakes I've said, I humbly apologize. And I do hope this presentation also shares some insights with the viewers. Once again, thank you very much. Yay.
Thank you, Juju. Okay, so we are going to move on to our last presenter. Michelle to present.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Misha Roslen, and I want to present composition method in creating storyboard novel, My Idiot Brother. Introduction. My Idiot Brother is a novel by Agnes Belforner in 2011, which tells the story of an older brother who brother get unpleasant treatment. I want to use awareness part of discrimination issue section as a part of storytelling description in the storyboard. How to know how to use, from the Joko Anwar realized this fact that aesthetic was important in the film itself in the order to have a good film quality. How to make a good quality? Yeah, by the visual aesthetic, which have three parts. It's namely imitation, expression, and formalism. And I want to use storyboard. Storyboard is a summary of the story from a script into a visual form that Guats Mark T. Briney in his book Animation, The Art of Layout and Storyboarding. According to his experience, the scene in the story in making storyboard and the layout in the main things for placement of object, character, time, and other as a visual reference for each scene. Theoretical review. In Ed Gardner's book, Layout and Composition for Animation, he explained that everything has a story and all story from people, place, and other things influence each other. I want to use Ed Gardner's theory for make composition in my storyboard. Or according to Ed Gardner, the composition of the storyboard consists of shot ratio, directional cues, make a statement, let it breathe, and angles. From the path composition theories, it will be from good good composition according to Ed Gardner. For the first shot ratio, they have extreme long shot, medium shot, close up, and extreme long close up. For the next directional cues, they have, if you know how to put the character or object in one frame, how to look like balanced or unbalanced, and you can see in the one or two, you can see the one is more balanced. And two, how to you make a statement, you how to tell the audience the focus and or the main actor or character in the one frame. Let It Breathe is one character in one frame. When they acting, move, or talking, you put in the one frame how to make them more air in the area. And the next angles, upshot, downshot, tail shot for make some dramatization scene. The result is angel scene. This is the example angel scene made with Aji. I use theory, make a statement. When angel, I put in the dark side, and Aji, I put in the light side. I always put angel in the dark because she was a trouble. Next. The example is the next scene where the sister ran away from the party Aji. The brother come to Angel, want to meet her, but she shocked when Hendra come to her. I make a statement as Angel in the middle ground, and more detail the drawing, and the background more blurred and foreground. And then I use Let It Breathe for the acting and expression for Angel. Next. For the next, I use theory downshot for dramatization scene, because Angel screamed because of pressure of the people around her. And conclusion, storyboard can improve the visual form and be more designed. Storyboards are never separate from pre-production in a film. With this storyboard, it can help animation be more focused. Without a composition theory, it will be more difficult to organize content in one frame because the layout will look more messy. In storyboard, it is not only the origin of prioritizing the desire of the artist in making one frame, but also returning to the concept of one story so as not to get out of the storyline. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Michelle, and also to all of our presenters for such inspiring presentations. We now have the time for our discussions and Q&A. And I would like to remind the audience that you can select the raise hand button on Zoom, and I will welcome you to speak. And you can also leave your message on the chat box, and I will welcome you to speak or read your message for you. And as you can see on the chat box, we also have a message from our committee saying that if you haven't registered yet, please don't forget to register through the link that is provided on the chat. Okay, so probably to start with our discussions, I will just start with my own questions, if that's okay. The first one is for Zahwa. So Zahwa, you were talking about the fan art, hashtag fan art, right, for the Gundala movie. And so my question for you would be, why do you think this fan art method actually works? And doesn't it actually narrow the audience that can interact with this hashtag? At least for the ones that can generate the fan art, because not everybody can actually draw or make that kind of fan art, right? And for Monica, can you please elaborate more about the elements that you mentioned from the movie Ave Mariam that can support the narratives or move the story of the film forward? And for Juju, and this is also for Michelle, actually, you both were giving us the design of something that is already existing, right? So I wonder for both of you, how do you see your work moving forward, circulate, especially because these are works that already have circulate out there, right? Because it's already kind of established by the singer and the novel writer. So do you feel like you can actually move forward with this and circulate it somewhere, or maybe contact the artist, the original artist, and then try to I don't know, make it viral, or for Michelle's case, for example, to actually make the film from the storyboard that you made? So yeah, that's kind of my questions to just kind of kickstart with our discussions. Who's going to answer first? Maybe Zahwa, do you want to answer my question first?
Yes, that's okay. So the first question was how does this fan art form work for the movie Gundala, right? Okay, so I took a little too long there, so it got a little bit cut off. Basically, it works with the movie Gundala because of the previously mentioned the Gundala movie markets itself as a local product, karya anak bangsa. Maybe I don't know how to say it in English. So the themes are local, the characters are local, the story is very relatable. So by using the hashtag Gundala fan art, which is basically encouraging or giving platform for other local creatives to show off their work, so it supports what brand that the marketers, the Bumilangit Studios would want for the Gundala movie. If they approach it with a little bit more sense of exclusivity or high end or luxury kind of marketing, it wouldn't really work because the point of the Gundala marketing is that it's a superhero movie for Indonesians. So to me, that's why it worked for the movie Gundala. And for the narrowed down audience, I feel like there's really an audience will always be narrowed down in a sense. So it's still a pretty broad audience of Indonesian artists or creatives. So, and again, that narrowed audience of Indonesian creatives, it fits very well with the perceived brand image of Gundala itself. So although it's narrowed down, people can still interact with the art, comment on it, and retweet it or something like that, and it would still work. People, non-artists, can still participate in sharing the promotion itself. So that would be my answer. Kind of.
Wow.
That's
Okay.
clear
So
enough.
can I give a? I'm going to give a little bit of a follow-up question. So do you think this works because the concept of the superhero?
Not really the superhero, but the Indonesian aspect of it, like
I see.
Gundala as a Indonesian pop culture character of some sorts.
Okay. Great. Thank you. Monica, do you want to answer the question that I asked you?
Sure. But before that, is your question about asking what other elements that are shown in the movie that can be?
No, because you already elaborate about the colors and like the other elements. So how do you think those elements that you talk about in your presentation actually support or move the story forward in the
Oh,
film?
how do they support?
Mm-hmm.
Well, uh, maybe if you ask how they support, because movie is, well, when we see a movie, we see the visuals and we hear the audios, right? So if we only hear the sound, it cannot be considered as watching a movie, because the visuals itself support the story. And I have said before, the colors represent one thing that is not uh, shown in the movies, like probably like pink. Maybe some people who probably don't understand the psychological of color, they will just oh, okay, she's wearing a pink dress, but behind that there's a meaning that pink represents her femininity, or neutral colors show that she didn't want to stand out. So probably colors and visuals, composition, and probably gestures, they all support each other to 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 build a deeper meaning behind the movie, behind what is seen by our eyes. Probably that's the answer.
Yeah, actually, my follow-up question for you would be, did you actually do the analysis of the overall films? Because as we can see in your presentation, it was more like scene by scene, right? But like, did you actually see it in terms of like the overall kind of like color palette of the film? Or you know, kind of like the mise-en-scène of like how one color stands out in like one certain scene and in relation to the other ones? Or do you actually just like go to specifics like you did in your presentation?
Okay, so for that, I actually went on a full analysis first, but then because of I made it into an article, so I make it more for a scene by scene. But actually, I analyze it over. I mean, full on. I mean the how did sorry.
Full film?
Yeah, the full film first.
Yeah.
And if I can present it right now, probably it's the scene, the color palettes of the whole movie. It actually doesn't change so much from the start until the end, because the movie itself is set on 1980s. So 1980s, yeah. So it mainly the color palette shows us a kind of desaturated colors. It doesn't show us a lot of popping out colors, and probably that. And yeah, if you want to, if I can give you one more example.
Sure.
There's this one scene that is related to each other. The one that when she was in the beach with her forbidden lover, and then after that she had a dream, and there we can see that actually it is the same. I don't know if it's the same beach, but probably it's the I mean, we can catch the same atmosphere there, because yeah, that is where she committed her sin, her first adultery with her lover. So yeah, that's probably the example for when one scene relates to each other.
Awesome. Okay, so I would like to invite Juju and Michelle, but before that, I would like to also remind the audience, if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand on Zoom or to write them down on the chat box. Juju, do you want to answer the question?
Yeah, sure. Okay, your question is what will I do? What will I bring this project to, right? I think for now I'm gonna keep it. Yeah, I'm gonna keep it for myself, because I personally not ready yet, and I still think it is the standard still not reached the must viral standard, and maybe, just maybe, one day I'm already ready, I'm gonna contact Zinger once again. Yeah.
Now I'm curious, is there any standard for a viral content?
I think, but it's based from my judgment. I think it's because I'm very biased, and the must viral standard must be really good, right? And I set my standards really high for myself. And I know that my project is still not there. So I thought, maybe not now, maybe someday, but we never know. So yeah, I'm just too shy. Yeah, that's why.
Well, based on what you screened and kind of preview us in your presentation, and I would say just go for it, and just try to maybe contact Kunto Aji and say like, hey, I have this like based on your on your song, and I would like you to see it, and maybe he will like it, and he will put it on his Instagram. Who knows?
No, I don't want that. I mean, he knows that I'm making a music video because I interviewed him, but I told him that I'm not gonna show it to you, and he was like, "What?" Like I'm still too shy, and I just don't want, because he's like my role model. And you know what? I'm gonna show him something really good, but for now, I'm sorry, Mas Kunto. Maybe later. Just my insecurity starts taking over. But
okay.
Yeah.
Well, take your time, and maybe you will change your mind after a few days.
And thank you.
And Michelle, would you like to answer the same question?
Yeah, because it is the pre-production, I will only share the storyboard to social media. Because it's really difficult to find the outdoors contact. And I want to share it the platform like YouTube. Yeah, I want to develop the storyboard to animation after that.
Yeah, because in your case, it can actually be an adaptation, right, of the novel itself. So maybe if it's hard for you to contact the author, maybe you can go to the publisher and then ask them, about the copyrights and whatnot, and tell them that you're a student and you would like to adapt it into your maybe short film or something like that, right? So it would be a possibility for you to actually move forward with this, because you already put your efforts to create the storyboard, and why not like move forward with it, right? Okay, so I haven't seen any other questions, but if you do have one, please, you can always just, I think at this point, unmute yourself and ask it. I haven't seen any in the chat. Or probably for the presenters, if you have questions for each other, you can also always ask each other's questions. No? Okay, I mean, are you sure you don't want to ask any questions? Well, if that's the case, then we can always end our session early, because we also kind of started early. And we still have time actually to start our break. And I would also like to invite you to our next presentation, which is panel presentation session 2. We will have 2 wonderful panels that we can choose. Panel presentation 2A, moving image methodologies with panel moderator Ferdinand Indrajaya. And the second one is moving image and entrepreneurship with panel moderator Eki Manjaya. And if that's the case, actually we have a question from Lucas. Lucas, do you want to ask the question by yourself? You can unmute yourself. Or I can read it for you. Lucas has a question for Monica. Can you give extra explanation about the connection between color and myth? She's thinking. Monica, do you want to try to answer that? Or if you don't have any answers right now, that's fine too.
Okay. This is okay. First of all, this is a very interesting question, but I'm sorry, but I don't think I can give a quite good answer right now, but maybe I will if I think about it later.
Okay. Lucas, do you want to maybe elaborate your questions furthermore about which kind of myth are you talking about in your question? No? I was actually thinking probably because you were talking about the pink dress, right? And maybe, you know, how it relates to femininity and how the blue butterfly, for example, why is it specifically blue? You know, you talk about the how it connects with the main character's dress, right? But like how the blue butterfly itself actually signifies what were you calling the dream come true or something like that? That kind of myths. Yeah, so probably that's no, thank you, said Lucas. Okay, so maybe Lucas is just throwing the this kind of idea that you were presenting, Monica, and maybe this question can actually be something that you think furthermore as you develop your scholarship forward, right? Okay, so I think we can actually wrap up now. And again, I would like to invite you to the next panel presentation, which starts at 10:30. And yeah, you can see also on the chat. Thank you for dropping it on the chat. So the committee. And right now, I would like to invite you to turn on our cameras, and we will take a screenshots for documentation purposes. Who's going to take the screenshot?
Me.
Okay, can you please give us a cue?
Okay, thank you. So to all participants and moderator, you may turn on your camera. Okay, there are 3 pages here. I'll screenshot in 3, 2, 1. Okay. One more. 3, 2, 1. Okay, thank you.
That's it?
Yes.
You get all? Okay, thank you so much. So again, I would like to thank you for all of the presenters and attendees. And don't forget to join the other panels and the other talks. And also there's going to be a film screening. So I'm going to sign out. My name is Azalia Muhransyah, PhD from Bina Nusantara University. And it's great to serve you as your moderator this morning. Thank you again and wish you a great conference at the second International Moving Images and Visual Cultures Conferences, IMOVICCON 2021. Goodbye.
Good morning, presenters. Okay. Good morning, presenters and attendees. My name is Ferdinand, and I'm assigned as a moderator for this panel 2A. The subtheme for this panel session is moving image methodologies. That's the contents of discussions which shall be revolving around this panel are methods, approaches, or conceptual frameworks regarding moving images. Before we begin the presentations session, please allow me to read out few essentials reminders in order for the session to go well. The first one, for presenters, please use the official naming format in the Zoom meeting session. The naming format for IMOVICCON 2021 is article code underscore full name. Secondly, presenters are expected to personally present the article. If presenters is having difficulties with screen sharing, the presenter may be skipped for another presenter in line for the time being. The skip presenter may be asked to contact and send the presentation slides to student committee by the moderator. The skip presenter will have the chance to present his article after all other presenters have finished with the presentations before going into Q&A time. Each presenter will have 10 minutes maximum for presenting his or their title. The presentation time itself is estimated to be 9 minutes, and 1 minute is allocated to anticipate technical issues. So each presenters will have approximately 10 minutes maximum. Yeah, but we will leave 1 minute for technical issues. So basically, you guys have 9 minutes to present your papers. While presenting, the moderator and committee may remind the presenter when the presentation time left reaches 3 minutes. So I will remind the presenters if the time left is 3 minutes. The Q&A session shall be open after all the papers are presented. So the Q&A session shall begin after all the presentations have been finished. Yeah. The last one, if there are too many questions asked, then the moderator may need to pick and choose certain questions. It can be done on a first come first serve basis or based on the quality of the question asked, if it is asked through the chat feature. For documentation purposes, moderators are expected to prioritize questions asked through raise hand feature. So the raise hand feature will be prioritized by moderator. Another thing which needs to be delivered is the list of presenters which shall be presenting in this panel session. The presenters with the title of their paper shall be mentioned here in order. So here are the presenters. The first one, Halim, Russell, and Nathaniel, with their papers entitled Analysis on Leica's Puppets in Kubo and the Two Strings, a stop-motion animated feature. The second presenters will be Vita, Glenda, and Pangestu, with analysis of the cathartic effect in the film Jurassic Park, 1993. The third one shall be Sahala, with negativity in Joker character. The fourth one will be Yekti, with blind artist self-portrait and materiality in stop-motion animation. The last one shall be Deborah and Zulkarnain, with the use of Freitag's pyramid structure to adapt positive body image book into a motion graphic structure. So based on such order, we shall begin the session, and I will give the floor to first presenters, Halim, Russell, and Nathaniel, with their paper entitled Analysis on Leica's Puppets in Kubo and the Two Strings, a stop motion animated features. Are you guys ready? Okay, time and floor. I will give to Halim, Russell, and Nathaniel. Please do present your paper.
Okay. Hello everyone. My name is Jonathan from Universitas Pelita Harapan, and today I'll present our analysis on Leica's puppets in Kubo and the Two Strings. So this is a little overview of our abstract. The core keywords would be stop motion, puppets, animation, and Leica Studio. Next. Up next, here's some important points for this presentation, such as feature of stop motion, use of technology to keep stop motion relevant, to find out if Leica puppets manage to keep stop motion relevant. Next. These are a few theories that became core to our research regarding the main topic. Stop motion, an animation or film technique that utilize photographic methods to create a sequence of images leading to a complete motion picture. And puppetry in resemblance to a theatrical performance, puppetry relies on the play of puppets to tell stories rather than using human actors. And rigging, a process of creating bone structures for 2D assets or 3D models. Next. And then for this research topic, our method is literary study. Now we're going to discuss what we have found during our research on this topic. Kubo and the Two Strings displays unique character, design, and sophisticated stop-motion puppet technology. Four of the many characters in this movie are Kubo, Monkey, Beetle, and Moonbeast, which we will use for discussion in this journal. Each character has its own uniqueness and challenge to make into a puppet. Kubo, the main character of this movie, is the most basic puppet out of these four characters. Basically, every puppet is made with a steel armature inside, so the animators can move and pose the puppets easily while still able to hold their position and pose. Then the armature will be covered with a silicon body, which will be the base of their appearance. After that, the costume departments will make a small costume for each puppet. Their costumes are made with various materials depending on the character concept. Then a 3D printed head mechanism will be attached to the body armature. And if the character has hair, they use real human hair combed with silicon to make it durable and postable. For Beetle, Monkey, and Moonbeast, the team at Leica Studios faced another challenges. Their design, which feature fine hairs, sharp angles, and small sharp little parts on their face. These characters push Leica Studio to figure out ways to create a new method to be able to 3D print faces with those features. Their previous method before making Kubo was to print face models with powder-based material and dipped it in glue to make it sturdier. But this method produced a fragile faceplate that is easily damaged and ruptured. So it isn't a viable method to create sharp and small pieces for characters such as Monkey, Beetle, and Moonbeast. To solve this problem, the technical team at Leica Studio decided to team up with Stratasys. Stratasys is a 3D printer company they have been working with for their previous films. Initially, Stratasys only had a machine to print plastic-based materials with three colors, blend, and can only be used to make a gradient with 46 colors palette, and no viable way to assign colors specifically. So the technical team at Leica decided to make their own software to be able to assign colors to the final printing result and expand its palette into 256 colors. This collaboration between Leica and Stratasys resulted in a new method to create plastic-based 3D printing method that will enable them not just to print complex structures with colors, but to also print colors according to an artistically rendered texture map. This technique also allows them to print small and complex detailed forms for the internal mechanism for the puppets, which results in a sophisticated rigging systems for the armature, especially in the head area. This complex head structure is then magnetized in the corners of the face areas, allowing animators to easily change the faceplate to change facial expression for replacement animation. These faceplates are also coded so that the face librarians can easily find faceplates according to the animator's needs to make a shot and put it in a kit for the animators to use. They also create a system to track faceplates for each frame by using a dope sheet containing the frame number and the code that should be used for that frame. The faceplates have been determined for the scene on the computer beforehand. That way, the animator knew when the facial expression had to be changed according to the puppet's movement as well. Another amazing thing, this technique was able to achieve is a fully 3D printed puppet. This means this puppet didn't go through silicon molding or traditional sculpting process to create its body parts. Because of their new technique to 3D print highly complex shaped plastic-based material, the Moonbeast puppet is created by first modeling and texturing in it 3D software. Then it got printed and cleaned. In the end, they managed to fully 3D print over 150 body parts. Then all of those parts are assembled in a gooseneck armature, allowing smooth animation and subtle control for animators to play around. This puppet is evidence of Leica's new puppet making technique with 3D printing method capabilities. One of the biggest parts in this film is also the presence of the giant monsters. These monsters are also very large, much larger than the average human scale. The first monster was the giant skeleton in the Hall of Bones, at 16 feet tall and weighing 182 kilograms. This scale for stop motion animators animation features have never been done before. The giant skeleton is one enormous masterpiece driven by computer program and human muscles. This monster is like a marionette that is hooked up by wires to the roof and tied to a sandbag on the floor. The parts that are moved by human muscles are the hands and the head, while the torso is moved by a computer program. The rigging on the bottom. The other creature is the giant eye in the Garden of Ice. This monster has a mesmerizing moray effect to give that hypnotic look to the creature. This creature is 8 feet tall, and they use metal mask to cover the entire inside to reflect the light. On the inside, they use rotating lights that counter-rotate amongst the plastic globes to give that speculoos effect on the outside, so that it feels like the lighting is underwater.
Sorry,
Although, yeah,
sorry to cut your presentation. I would like to remind you that you have 3 minutes left.
okay.
Okay, please continue.
Uh, Although this humongous puppet seems impossible to adjust with only human strength, this is why they programmed it to read the XYZ coordinates of a bowling ball to give a better performance to the movement. For the conclusion, Leica has blurred the line between stop motion and the art of puppets, making them less separable. Their puppets are so expressive that they could even compete with modern 3D CG animation films. And these are our references. And thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you for your presentation. You still have like approximately 1.5 minutes. Is there anything else you would like to add?
I think that's pretty much it because I kind of rushed it a little bit. So I don't want to pass 10 minutes.
Okay, thank you for such a kind and well consideration. So let's continue to the next presenters, Vita, Glenda, and Pangestu with their papers entitled Analysis of the Cathartic Effect in the Film Jurassic Park. So from skimming to the paper, the paper is an attempt to highlight the cathartic aspect from the Spielberg's a 1993 film entitled Jurassic Park. So the floor and time I will give to Vita and Glenda and Pangestu.
Okay, good morning, everyone. We're from University of Harapan. My name is Shannon, and with my partners, Anastasia and Sharina, we'd like to present our title journal, which is Analysis of the Cathartic Effect in the Film Jurassic Park 1993. So I'll begin with, first of all, I'm pretty sure that all of you guys have experienced emotional while watching certain movie scenes. And those scenes create some kind of connection to our personal feelings and affect our perspective about life. And that experience is known as catharsis. Steven Spielberg is known to have cathartic movie. One of his classic movies is Jurassic Park, which is a science fiction, adventure, and thriller movie that was released in 1993. The movie itself is nostalgic, yet emotional to us. Therefore, we decided to analyze the cathartic effect from the film.
Okay, catharsis is achieved through some aspects in the movie, such as suspense, identification, and feeling rules. And Spielberg creates those three aspects through the use of cinematography techniques, theme, and editing. The first aspect is suspense. Suspense gives a cathartic effect to the audiences because they feel relieved after going through the negative emotions and then coming to the end of the conflict. There are two ways in which Spielberg creates suspense. The first one is editing, specifically cutaways. Spielberg cuts between the scene where Ellie is trying to turn on the power and the scene where Tim is refusing to jump down the electric fence. As Ellie is about to reach the final switch that will turn on the electric fence, the scene constantly cuts between Tim, who is still refusing to jump, and back to Ellie again. Therefore, these constant cutaways delays the outcome event, which then increases the suspense. The second one is called Spielberg point of thought, which is a technique where Spielberg focuses on the character's expression using close-up, bringing the audiences into what the characters are thinking and feeling. In this scene, Ellie is currently looking for survivors, and when she is reacting to something, a close-up shot to her expression makes us feel the fear that she feels. Not only that, Spielberg also doesn't show what it is that the characters are seeing, which further heightens the sense of mystery and suspense.
The second aspect of catharsis in this movie is identification. The term of identification is to describe the act or process of identifying something or someone. When we identify with the characters, we get the sense of emotional release that we call catharsis. And how Spielberg used in this particular scene is theme. In the beginning, we see the character Alan as a man that dislikes children. We can see from the picture, this scene tells about Alan scaring an annoying little boy by explaining how a rapture could likely kill him. And from the second picture, we slowly see a progression by the character Alan that then slowly changed his attitude toward kids, whereas now Alan willingly to take a role of protector in the scariest circumstance. This scene shows Alan helping Lex by stopping her from screaming so that the dinosaur cannot distinguish their location and walk away from them. So the interaction between Alan and the kids makes us emotionally attached and start to identify. Character Alan shows us how Spielberg used his well-known theme, which is family theme, and to be specifically discuss a father figure. Alan grew from a man who hates children to a man who portrays a father figure and end up being pretty good at it. The progression of becoming a better man and the role of father figure make the audience empathize and experience catharsis.
Next one is feeling rules. From a social point of view, feeling rules are a very particular emotional guide. In everyday life, each individual is certainly expected to follow a certain feeling rules based on categories, be it social status, social class, and gender. Especially, it's more like social norms.
However, the application of feeling roles in movie is much more flexible than in reality. In other words, audience could loosen feeling roles by watching and experiencing movies. So the technique used to emphasize the feeling roles in this scene is Spielberg's honor, a camera technique similar to long shot. For example, in this scene, Alan meets Tim, a boy who idolized him a lot. Here, the camera mostly focuses on how knowledgeable Tim is. This shows that Spielberg does not emphasize seniority, although we know that normally adults are seen as more wise and knowledgeable. We also could see in this picture that Tim's gesture is not proper, especially when talking to an older person like Alan. Tim action in this scene could be easily perceived as improper behavior in real life. But in movie, audience perceive this action as mere act done by an actor. So we enter the conclusion here. Steven Spielberg is actually a master of creating cathartic effect. As we can see in Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park gives the audience an emotional and nostalgic feelings through the director's use of cinematography, theme, and editing to create suspense, identification, and feeling roles. That's all our presentation. Thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you for a very quick and considerably comprehensive presentation. You guys still have like approximately 2.5 minutes, basically. So do you want to add anything else to your presentation?
Yes, maybe a little bit about a Spielberg owner.
Okay, you have like 2 more minutes
Okay,
to deliver
so
that.
Anastasia had already discussed or already talked about Spielberg owner is basically a long shot, but to be specifically describe about Spielberg owner itself, Spielberg normally use 4 camera setup, and he used blocking and staging to obtain a dynamic and long take result. And Spielberg owner is different than other director long shot because he used a certain time length which is under 3 minutes. Yeah, Sharina, do you want to add something else?
No, I think that's all. Thank you.
So that's it then. Okay. Thank you for your presentation and thank you for your additional information that you just added to the presentation. Now we'll be continuing the presentation to, okay, the next one is Sahala with the paper entitled Negativity in Joker Character, yeah? If I'm not mistaken, the paper is an attempt to show the negativity found in Joker the movie by applying dualism as a methodological framework, isn't it?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, so time and floor, I will give to Sahala to present his paper. Please.
Okay, hello. It's nice to be here. Thank you for coming to this presentation. And I'm Franz Sala from Universitas Multimedia Nusantara. Yeah, and my paper is Negativity in Joker Character. First of all, I want to I want to tell you about that my paper is about the Joker film by Todd Phillips that Todd Phillips that production in 2019. Yeah, as we know, the Joker film has been produced by many directors and played by many actors. The Joker character is always portrayed the terrible and dangerous clown. Yeah. Therefore, in this film, Todd Phillips tried to take a different angle from the previews of Joker's films. Yeah. Here, Todd Phillips tries to aim the backstory of the Joker character that construct, whose real name is Arthur Fleck, played by Joaquin Phoenix. And the construction does not appear by itself, but as a result of something that stimulated, so that the Joker character that we know later in the future is sadistic, dangerous, and cold-blooded killer. Yeah. In my paper, we'll examine the Joker character, whose real name is Arthur Fleck, in relation to the expression of negativity. The element of negativity in Arthur Fleck is considered to be the basis for the construction of the Joker character. Yeah, as we know as well, the Joker is a smart character that's become considered as the Batman toughest enemy. The negativity is in the realm of metaphysics as the condition of human. His phenomenal expression is not only destruction, but also vanity, suffering, melancholy, trauma, neglect, failure, death, and so on. Negativity is not something that is zero, but something, something that is not defined by itself, but from the effect it causes. Social damage can be referred to as a social negativity, because aggressive and destructive attitudes are included. Negativity is usually always a part of that relationship, because the expression of negativity is considered capable of provoking controversy and continues to be a curiosity, because negativity is not something neutral. Yeah. And the method I use in this paper is dualism. Dualism is a philosophical view that affirms the existence of two separate spheres. Dualism is a concept which states that there are two substances that underlie the world. Yeah. In the view of the relationship between body and soul, dualism claims that mental phenomena are non-physical entities. Dualism is often used in the observations of the existence or relationship between body and soul. Yeah, especially in the context of ideas. Yeah, character is a create with a purpose, not far from the source of identity, meaning, and of course purpose. Yeah. Characters cannot be separated from the journey of their life, or often referred to as a backstory. The way the character is raised, what the environment is like, genetic factors and role models are the tools that help in constructing the character. And in this paper, the negativity associated with the dualism of body and soul of Arthur Fleck. Negativity is manifest through behavior that does not appear by itself, but it's result of something and stimulating it. Behavior during the course of his life is considered an answer or respond to this stimulus. Yeah, to the stimulus. Negativity can be said is the stimulus of it. Yeah. For your information, in history, the term of dualism itself has only been generally used since Thomas Haidt introduced this term in around 1700 to denote a conflict between good and evil. So there's a history about the dualism to construct the analysis of two sequence, yeah, two separate spheres. And for the result and discussion of my paper is the first is mental illness that driven a negative view that are not normal like any others. Yeah, the negativity associated with the dualism of body and soul after flex. This form of mental illness that he had, it's driven to negative things. A negative view of Arthur Fleck, who is not normal like any others. Arthur Fleck, as we've seen in the movie, is a psychiatric citizen who can burst out laughing when he is feeling sad or experiencing nervousness at any time, when he's not expecting it. This is something that the sufferer cannot control. Okay, and the second is Arthur Fleck is someone who works as an entertained clown. Clowns are the work of the lower classes. Yeah, the lower classes are people who are always looked down upon and underestimated. In the course of human.
Sorry to cut your presentation. I would like to remind you that you have 2 more minutes left.
2 more minutes. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
There are class people who are always looked down upon and underestimated. In the course of human history, been looked down and being belittled in form of negative things. Yeah. Therefore, Arthur Fleck have result in negative things in the form of insult and even harassment. The third is Arthur Fleck uses the thick makeup characteristic of a clown mask, which aim to manipulate his real face into the shape of a fake face. The fake face of the clown in this film is also explained by Thomas Wayne that person wearing a clown mask is a coward, he said. This Arthur Fleck inspired clown mask is a negative thing for the safety and convenience of the city. This also makes Arthur Fleck continue to be hunted by the police because he also suspected as the murderer of the Gotham subway. The negativity can also result in stigmatization. The form of dualism of negativity produces a dualism of stigmatization. The first one is the murderer or killer clown, and the second is the hero or a symbol of anti-racist resistance. Yeah, stigmas as a murderer, Arthur Fleck is threat to the safety of the convenience of the city. Yeah, stigmat as a hero, Arthur Fleck is considered the inspiration for the anti-racist resistance. So that in this position, Arthur Fleck found a stage that he had not gotten in his dream position for a dream profession as a clown. And as a conclusion, first one is the negativity, which includes the dualism of body and soul, become a polarizing pair, constructed the Joker character whose real name is Arthur Fleck with a mental illness and work as an entertaining clown, which is considered a lowly job. The dualism of negativity also produces a dualism, dualism of stigmatization. Yeah, the murderer and the symbol of anti-racist resistance as a hero. This construction is not clear by itself, but a result that stimulated. Arthur Fleck behavior in this film is considered an answer or response to the stimulation, and the negativity manifests itself through Arthur Fleck, so that negativity becomes the existence of the Joker. Yeah, negativity is the negative frame of mind. This thinking framework is manifest in awareness and personal behavior, as well as expressed in collective behavior. Yeah, discourse and thought patterns place negative things as a priority. More than that, negative things are accustomed to the personal awareness and behavior and collective behavior. Okay, that's it, my presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your presentation. We will directly continue to the next speaker. The next one is Yakti. with the paper entitled Blind Artist Self-Portrait and Materiality in Stop Motion Animation. If I'm not mistaken, the paper is an attempt to show how valuable sense of touch or tactility is in creating a stop motion animation. Okay, time and floor I will give to Yakti. You may present your paper.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Okay, I will present my paper. Is it? Wait. Is it shows in the screen already?
Yep, we can see it.
All right, so let's start. So my paper title is Blind Artist Self-Portrait and Materiality in Stop Motion Animation. I'm a lecturer in Universitas Multimedia Nusantara, but currently I'm in the first year of my PhD study at the University of Glasgow. And my paper is basically discuss the similarity between blind artist installation work and stop motion animation in employing touch as a strategy to heighten touch sense while experiencing the artwork. So I will explain a bit about what is blind self-portrait is. So self-portrait actually is a genre of art where artists can express self-representation into their art piece. So artists can exploring their experience, their feeling, their emotion into their art piece. The art itself, it can be any art. It can be painting, it can be sculpture, and it can be, I don't know, photography as well. Today, I just will discuss two of the installation art by blind artists. So these two installation art is actually created by blind artists. The first one is the art that called The Blind Narcissus Invent His Own Mirror by Aaron McPeak. And then the second one is the Tactile Dialogue by Fayan DFV and Sophie Pakach. And the next one is the basic, the key theory that I will use to unfold this installation art discuss is the haptic visuality. Is the theory, the term that coined by Laura U. Marx. So the essential of touch and kinesthetic sense have been explored in the world of cinema to bring the audience closer to the film. And then the haptic visuality term itself, it's contrast with optical visuality. It draws from other sensory experience, especially touch and kinesthetic. So basically, when we see movie with haptic visuality, we not only see with our eyes, but we see with our hand, with our organ of touch, with our skin as well. And the filmmaker usually use this kind of pro-haptic properties in the video and film to create that haptic visuality feeling. Usually they use changes in focal length and then graininess and the effect of under and overexposure, and then sometimes they over zoom in the and then we can see the richness of the texture and everything. And then haptic visuality rely on the texture instead of form or depth or haptic cinema puts in. And so visually asking for ourselves, what is this kind of object? So we have to ask that question to in order to be closer with the film itself as the audience. And then there's one essential quality that usually we can find in the haptic visuality. It's called materiality. And haptic visuality relates to this medium of materiality at several levels, including recording, editing, and the projection or transmission medium. For example, in the use of film medium, the real film, the physical film strips, haptic visual quality can be achieved by doing physical manipulation directly to the film, like such as scratching and then I don't know, painting and everything to create that touch feeling and create that closeness between the viewer and the material. And then the source of haptic elements in a video or computer editing can be achieved in many ways, such as the constitution of the image from a signal and the video low contrast ratio or video decay. And this materiality is also found in the stop motion animation. Stop motion animation practice often use clay or firm material because of its plasticity, which easily leaves traces of the artist's fingerprint during the animating process. And it is believed that by leaving the traces while manipulating the object, the animator actually is imprinting his or her experience of the work into the objects. And material properties also can be found in the handmade quality of the object, in the set and props or character puppet that considered as a strategy to make viewer closer to the film itself. So now I will discuss the first installation artwork that I mentioned above. This is the dialogue by the Effie. So artists use clay material and then they pass it. Actually, they present it in the installation. So two of the viewer will be hand each other this clay material, and then they will handshake one and put this material. Yes.
Sorry to cut your presentation. I would like to remind you.
Okay.
That,
all right. Yeah. Okay. So it's
you
actually
have 2 more minutes left. Thank you.
Okay. This actually similar to the haptic element shows in the material of celluloid film strips, that the metatask and the scratches and reflected meaning came from obvious among which it circulates. And then the in stop motion, it also can be found in the fingerprint of the artist, as traces of the artist's experience in paint on the puppet as medium. And the second one is the blind self-portrait. It's actually a gong. Right? So the viewer need to strike the gong with a ring. In this artwork, the similarity is the handmade quality, which also can be found in the sets and the puppet with the stop motion film. So to make it, I just draw the conclusion. So this is the conclusion. So to discuss artwork by the blind artists have employed touch as the main element both in the making and the viewing process to convey their emotion and experience. And then to experience this, discuss art pieces. To connect with the artist, the viewer need to use their hand or haptic sense, other than visual and audio senses. And this touch element, which is also utilized in the stop motion animation technique, can be associated with how blind artists express their feelings and experience through tactile artwork, such as giving life to object, bringing object closer to the viewer, and imprint artist experience to the objects. All right, thank you. That's all.
Okay, thank you for your paper presentation. So I would like to continue the presentation from the next speaker. Okay. The next speaker is, the next speaker are Deborah and Zulkarnain with their paper entitled The Use of Freitag's Pyramid Structure to Adapt Positive Body Image Book into a Motion graphic structure. So if I'm not mistaken, the paper is an attempt to respond critically an ethical issue of body shaming in the current social context through visualizing it. And the visualization is made possible by collaborating Freitag's pyramid's narrative structure with motion graphic structure as the method for visualizing it. Time and floor I will give to Deborah and Zulkarnain. Please present your paper.
Excuse me, I'm going to share my screen.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity given to me to present my paper called The Use of Freitag's Pyramid Structure to Adapt Positive Body Image Book into a Motion Graphic Structure. I'm Apila Deborah from Universitas Pelita Harapan. So little introduction, I designed a motion graphic about one of the social issues happening in Indonesia, namely body image. This is because there is a lot of body shaming that occurs where people have an understanding of the ideal body image they see through the various media such as advertisement, magazines, or even social media. So through the design motion graphics, it is hoped that the people who watch it can understand and love their own bodies without the need to adjust themselves to the society's ideal appearance standards. This motion graphic will be adapted from a nonfiction book called Positive Body Image, written by Justin Healy. And in adapting this nonfiction book, I will use the narrative structure of Freitag's pyramid to analyze and creating motion graphic structure through the script writing. The method that I use here is with literature study by searching for various resources and theoretical studies that will be applied to the design motion graphic. The first stage begins with analyzing the selected nonfiction book. Initially, what I did is to group the information that needed based on the narrative structure Freitag's pyramid. After sorting the required information, later the information will be rewritten again with new sentences into a motion graphic script and then translated into visual form into storyboards. Next to the discussion, a little explanation about the narrative structure that I use is the Freitag's pyramid that is founded by Gustav Freitag. And the structure consists of from exposition, raising action, climax, falling action, and denouement. So the exposition part is where we introduce the audience to the story, to the characters or the settings before we bring the audience to know more of the story. And then next to the rising action, we will tell the conflict or the problem that will occur later in the story. In climax is the peak of the problem or conflict that happens and becomes a determining part of the direction of the story. Falling action is about the part where the conflict has been resolved, and it ends with the denouement part where the situation in the story returns to normal. This narrative structure will be later used to create a motion graphic structure through script writing. And why did I use this structure? Because I'm advised to by my thesis advisor to write a script with a structure that is familiar or known during the classes. And in my case, one of the narrative structures that is familiar with me is this Freitag's pyramid. Next to the application, the first stage begins to analyzing and grouping the information based on the narrative structure. So in here, I just group a few of information into the narrative structure. For the first part is in the exposition one, the group information in this is about introductory information on the topic or social issue. For example, is information about body image in general. And in the rising action, the information in this section begin to discuss about body image more specifically, such as its effect on a person or the factors that influence it. And in the climax part, the information in this section covers the main problem, namely body image in teenagers. Next to the following action, the information in here is in the form of solutions in dealing with unhealthy body image for the teenagers. And lastly, the denouement section is the information covers what can be done to prevent a bad image in teenagers. And after I already grouped the information before, this is where I start writing the scripts for motion graphics that I designed based on the Freitex pyramid. For the exposition part, based on the Freitex pyramid, I rewrite the information into introduction about the main topic so the audience will know the basics about body image before getting more specific information. So here I wrote about examples of local cases regarding of the body image issues, as well as general information about the body image before writing more specific information. Continuing on rising action, we need to continue the information from the exposition before, but in more specific and detail. So I wrote here about body image in a deeper way, such as how healthy and unhealthy image are and their impact on a person. On the climax part, the script begins to contain the main problem or conflict, so I write about body image in teenagers starting from the characteristics to the effects. After introducing the main problem in the climax section, the script in the following action is about how we overcome the problems that we mentioned before. So in this section, I write about ways or solutions to overcome the negative image for the teenagers. And then it ends with the denouement part, which contains tips to prevent unhealthy image and few words of the conclusions of the information. After finishing the writing the script, then it will be translated into a visual form through storyboards. And here's few pictures of storyboard that I made. Lastly, the conclusion. So through this discussion, the conclusion that I can understand are, firstly, narrative structure is not always used in fictional media such as films or novels, but also in nonfiction. In my case, that I use the narrative structure of Freitex pyramid to analyze nonfiction books. Secondly, creating motion graphic structures through writing scripts can be done by using narrative structures such as Freitex pyramid. Thank you. That's all from me. Thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you for your presentation. You have approximately 2 more minutes left. Do you have anything else to be added?
No, I think that's all for me.
Okay, thank you. So let's continue to the next activity, which is Q&A session. So I would like to remind you one more time that during the Q&A session, the question asked through a raise hand feature shall be prioritized. So is there any questions? You can read a more elaborated reminder to the chat feature regarding the Q&A session. So it is noted that please select the raise hand option on Zoom meeting. The moderator will then welcome you to speak. You can leave a question on the chat box. The moderator will welcome you to speak or read your message for you. And I will selectively choose if you leave the question on the chat box. Please write down to whom the question is addressed. Okay, it's Q&A session. So is there any question from the attendees? Okay, Baroto Yekti.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
Okay, please do.
Thank you, Mr. Ferdinand. I would like us to Kevin Nathanael, the one with the topic of the stop motion animation. In the conclusion, if I'm not mistaken, you mentioned about the how this technology can make like a studio compete with the 3D animation, isn't it? So that is a question, but also a feedback, I think, yeah. Because I also study about the stop motion animation as well. So I don't really agree that the Leica use their technology is to compete with 3D because it has a different kind of what do you call it, characteristic. So I think that the technology applied to the Leica technique, to the Leica puppet and everything, is more to the effectiveness of the production line of the stop motion animation itself. So I just want to ask, what do you think of the impact of this technology applied to the stop motion production, applied to, by Leica to I don't know, maybe to the animator, or maybe for the puppet maker or the artist and everything. So yes, that's my question.
Okay. To make it shorter, if I'm not mistaken, your question is related to the impact of technology that Leica's use to the animators and anyone who works in that field, something like that. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So Nathanael, Russell, would you like to respond to such question?
Yes, I'd love to respond to the question. First of all, thank you for the feedback. And for the conclusion, what we meant is not to compete with the 3D CG animator film in a sense of artistic, maybe, but in the market sense of things, like who gonna watch this film. In the old days, based on our analysis, stop motion is kind of not effective. You need to build a lot of things, and it takes a lot of times. Also, to get the face to be expressive, it's really hard. But with their new technology, Leicas are able to make their animation as good as a modern 3D CG films. And for the impact for the animators, can the stop motion animators can work more on their efficiency and maybe make a crazier approach to the film. Like, for example, in one of their film, I think Paranorman, like one of the character got electrocuted, and there is like skeleton and everything that's maybe in the old days only achievable with 3D CG, but now because of their technology and their new approach using 3D printing, it's also able to be presented with stop motion charms. Yeah, that's my answer to the question. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, thank you for your response. Regarding the time limits, I would like to go to the second one. The second question from Ronaldo.
Okay,
And the third one shall be Salima. Okay. Please
sir.
deliver your question.
Thank you, Sir Ferdinand. I would like to ask the question to Mr. Rekti and Ethan and Jonathan. It's regarding, I would like to ask, what's your opinion on nowadays animation, such as like Laika and Lego animated movies who combine CG with traditional stop motion. Like Mr. Yakti said in his presentation, stop motion have the aesthetic feeling of the touch sensation from the animator, the imperfect touch that become unique in also in the looks and the in the animation. Do you think it's a good thing that people combine it with CG? Because one another famous director who is stop motion like Wes Anderson, he said in one of his interview, he used CGI during one of his film, that is Mr. Fantastic Mr. Fox, but on his last film, that is Isle of Dogs, he said that he removed the element of CG because he said CG could control the looks of the film. Thank you. So my question is, do you think it's a good thing that people combine CG with stop motion, or do you think it's okay?
So your question is basically the good and the bad of involving CG technology into animation. Okay, and the questions is addressed to Mr. Baroto and also Nathanael and Russell. Okay, so who would like to respond first?
Okay, I think I will respond first. Yes.
Okay, okay, please.
All right. So yes, it's true that I think it's depend. I think it's actually overall I said it's okay. It's okay because each film has its own characteristic to be prioritized. So in Wes Anderson, I think he really want to emphasize that handmade quality. But in the Lego movie, I think still that there's a handmade quality in the I think in the process of the moving that Lego pieces, because it's I think all of the viewer will very connected to the way animator moving each part of the Legos pieces into animated things. So I think that even though it's combined with the CGI, I think the viewer still can feel that touch of the animator in that Lego pieces. Yes, and that handmade quality in the Lego movies is not rely on the material like such as a fur or the clay or anything, but it's more in the movement. Yeah, I think that's from me.
Okay, thank you. So basically, you still believe that there's a room left for authenticity, yeah, in involving technology or CG technology into the animation. That's basically is that correct?
Yes.
Mr. Barota. Okay. Would you like to respond to it, Ronaldo?
Yeah, maybe a bit. I agree with Mr. Baroto. Maybe like it's the choice of the director too. Like does he wants to still stick with stop motion or not? And I also agree that I think in Lego it's quote unquote easier because the material is not as complex as Mr. Fantastic, Mr. Four, or the other Wes Anderson movies. That's
okay. Okay. So next, I would like to hear the response from Jonathan Russell. Would you like to respond to Ronaldo's question previously?
Okay, I'm gonna answer the question on behalf of my team. So for the question is about, is it okay to use CG and stop motion film? I think, yeah, I agree. First of all, I agree with what Mr. Baroto said. And second of all, I think this is the same problem as the old times, like the practical VFX and the new CG VFX. I think this is the same discussion as that. So the thing with the CG is you can use it as much as you want, or you just use as needed. And I think to make it looks good, to make stop motion film still have the stop motion charms, as long as we use the CG to the certain level of, we only need to, like maybe in Lego movie, there's a ghost character and you need to make it glow. It will be very hard to make a model and like slip a lamp inside and then make it glow to the camera with the camera setting and everything. It's going to be really hard, but with the help of CG, it's achievable in a shorter time and in an easier way. And another thing, and maybe if we also look in Lego movie, if we look at there's a bit of close-up shot in the main character face, and if we're gonna use like the real Lego model, it's really small and you're gonna need like a macro camera, it's gonna be really hard to achieve the same still image when he is changing his expression. So the thing also achieved by CG. So I think, yeah, CG is helping stop motion in some way without destroying its charms. But if we use CG too much in stop motion, maybe we can destroy the charm of the stop motion, and maybe we can just call it CG animation instead, because there's only little stop motion in there. That's my answer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your answer. Any response to it, Ronaldo?
Yeah, maybe a little. Thanks, Ethan, for the answer. And I think I really agree with the point that Ethan makes. I think it's one of the things that the director need to think about to find the balance between the CGI and the stop motion, because it's really hard. Like Ethan say, if it's too much CG, why brand it as a stop motion? But stop motion get more aesthetic to it and etc. I think it's fair that we really, the director really need to find the balance of when does this we need to continue using CG or not. Yeah, that's my response. Thank you, Ethan.
Okay, thank you for your response. This is quite interesting. It's probably the question is it possible, or it's a matter of how to, it's gonna be quite of a challenge in how to humanize the technology. It's basically pretty much an old age question since the beginning of 20th century. A question that it's pretty much struggled by, if I'm not mistaken, Hannah Hawk, the Dada artist. When she was struggling to, she was trying to come up with a collage painting, involving photographic cutouts, where it was when photographic images considered as a mechanical product, from photographic technology. And what she did was trying to humanize the technology, by making a collage from photographic cutouts. So basically, the questions about is there any room left for humanity in a very technology and a digital technology atmosphere that we're living right now? That's the question that I guess needs to be perpetually fostered and cultivated. Yeah, especially in the realm of art-related world. Yeah. Okay. It's a very valuable discussion indeed. The next one, I guess I would like to give him for Salima to deliver the question.
Okay, thank you, Ferdinand. My question will be for Miss Aprilia in regarding to her presentation about the use of Freytag narratives or Freytag pyramid in relation to positive body image. I have two questions for Ms. Aprilia. The first one, if I'm not mistaken, in your paper, you mentioned that the information that you use for content in the motion graphic work is adapted from a scientific book, which was written by Justin Healy, entitled Positive Body Image. My first question would be, how do you determine which positive body image that you feel is suitable with your target market for your targets for audience? How do you determine which one? Because I am quite sure that Justin Healy talks about a lot of positive body images, and how do you determine which one you're going to use, which you think is appropriate for your audience? And the second one, why do you choose the Freytag pyramid? Because in the conclusion of your paper, you also mentioned that the narrative structure, whether it's a Freytag, whether it's 3X structure or the hero's journey or other narrative structure, is also applicable to a scientific or non-scientific book. So why do you think this choice is the best choice or the right choice for your works, or in regarding to what you're trying to say through your works?
Okay, thank you for your question, Salima. So basically we have two questions. The first one is, how do you determine which positive body image appropriate for the audience? And the second one, why Freytag's pyramid instead of other narrative structures? Why Freytag's pyramid? So, okay, Ms. Aprilia, I would like you to respond to it.
Okay, for the first question, how do I determine which information that appropriate for the target audience is firstly, I discuss it with an expert in body image issues, that to who should I target the information to, and then I ask her what kind of information that I should provide in the motion graphic I designed. So after I discuss it with her, then I show her the book, and she agreed that the book is could be the information that I provide for the target audience, which means I targeted it to the teenagers. So yeah, that's how I determine the appropriate information. And secondly, why I choose the Freytag pyramid. So before I mentioned that my thesis advisor that advised me to use a structure that is familiar with me or I know during my classes. So Freytag pyramid is one of the structure that I know or use during my class. So I use it because other than familiar, it is important if it's familiar with me. So I know it well. I didn't use it. I didn't use the other because I didn't know the rest really well other than the Freytag experiment. So I didn't want to do a mistake while making this. That's it.
Thank you for the answer, Aprilia. It's a very interesting project, by the way. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Aprilia. Thank you, Salima, for the questions. So I would like to ask the committee, do we still have any time left for Q&A? If it is, how much time do we have?
Yeah, we still have approximately 10 minutes.
10 minutes. Okay, probably one more question. One more question. Mr. Baroto, do you have any more question? Because you're still raising your hand. If it is yes, then oh, okay. So is there any more questions? So I guess it's approximately 9 more minutes here. Or Ronaldo again. Okay, Ronaldo, please deliver your question.
Thank you, Sir Ferdinand, for the interaction. I would like to ask to the second team, Sherina, if I'm not mistaken, the one who discussed about Steven Spielberg. I want to ask, it's a general question about quote unquote who's the better director. What your guys' opinion on Spielberg's Jurassic Park, the first one, and to the last Jurassic World? Do you think which one better? Because you guys discussed about the camera, the point of view and etc. Do you think Steven Spielberg is better or what? Because again, I think similar to my previous question, I think my personal take, the Jurassic World, the Jurassic World one relies too much on CG, but that's my personal take. Thank you.
Okay, so which one is the best director?
Yeah, for them.
Okay. So Vita, Glenda, or Pangestu, would you like to respond and answer to that question? Please do.
Okay, first of all, thank you for the question. For me personally, I prefer Spielberg because as we mentioned in our first presentation, we say that Spielberg known and create a catharsis in his scene movie, such as like his technique, which is Spielberg point of thought, or Spielberg owner or face. That kind of scene makes memorable to us and yet nostalgic to us. Whereas Jurassic World, as Kak Ronaldo say, that too much rely on CG. For us personally, we much prefer Spielberg. Yeah. Sherina, do you want to add something?
No, I think does that answer your question?
Okay. So Spielberg it is then. Ronaldo, would you like to respond to such opinion?
Yeah, I also a bit agree on that, because I think Spielberg's touch on, because the restriction of their era, even though there's also still CG in that era, but I think on how he not relies on CG still can create our fear of an extinct animal, and we still feel the fear in it. I think that's a very unique touch. Thank you for it.
Okay, thank you for this for the discussion. I would like to ask one more time for to the student committee. Do we still have any time left? How much time do we have left?
Yes, about 5 to 6 minutes.
Okay, 5 to 6 minutes. Is there any more question? Okay, if it is not, I would like to ask question to the one who hasn't got any question then, to Mr. Sahala. In your paper, you put negativity is in the realm of metaphysics. Is that correct, Mr. Sahala?
Yeah, that's correct.
Oh, okay, that's right. Yeah. My question is, does the term itself refer to in absentia? I mean, like absence, and while positivity means present, or the term itself is understood in a moralistic sense?
The truth is, it's not about the moral or positivities. It's about the endurance that appeal from ourselves. Then people interpret our behavior.
And people interpret our behavior, whether our behavior is morally bad or morally good. Something like that.
You could say that. You could say that.
Okay. So if it is ethical related, because it's involving a judgment of good or bad behavior, is there any specific ethical discourse that you have incorporated into your writing? Or any ethical consideration, perhaps, that you...
That is the bottom line that I write. There is no ethical, because when Joker is intimate, being the image of the revolution, yeah, they are both sides. Government said he's a villain, but people say he's a hero. So there is two kind of interpreted that we can say where is the ethical, because people and government could say anything.
Okay, so what you are trying to show is the ambivalence.
That's right. It's a kind of maybe
Joker's
paradox,
character.
maybe paradox that it appeal as a fact. The artifact not intense, not planning to be that way, but something in here in his that make that appeal.
Okay, so from that point of view, have you ever considered to, involve a psychoanalysis perspective to explain why in certain situation artifact emerges and in another situation the Joker character emerges?
Psychoanalysis, maybe you could say that, but in terms of psychoanalysis, in my writing is not quite well. It's not quite provide, because in psychoanalysis they had steps. They had the memory that come from the ancient memory that appeal on the subconscious. In artifacts, the artifact doesn't. I think my opinion is he doesn't have subconscious ancient memory that be pretty bad, because the character, the behavior that the people interpret artifact is from his behavior, not from the memory that came from the ancient memories, like psychoanalysis said.
But isn't the past experience that it's sedimented as memories will manifest eventually as behavior.
Yeah, it affects.
This is from
that must be effect on artifacts, but the bigger effect is how society treat them, how society treat him by the status they have, the job he has, and then the illness he has, and then the environment he had.
Okay, okay. So regarding to such response, I would like to ask further, why dualism is chosen to be the method to show what you just said, that people judge artifact based on the background, etc., etc.
I presume dualism is appear because of a condition that made to analyze body and soul in body and soul, because Thomas Haidt, when introduced this term around 1700, they did not conflict between good and evil in the body and soul of a human. That's why I interesting it to put it on the afterflag.
Okay, so time is up. I guess it's about 1 minute left. I guess that's enough. Thank you for your response and answer. I guess we could probably end the session. Thank you for the speakers who have presented the paper well, and thank you for the attendees who attend this panel. On behalf of IMOVICCON, I would like to say thanks also for your cooperation and for your question and answer. And I would like to excuse myself, and you guys are also allowed to leave the meeting room. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for your participation. Thank you for your presentation, and thank you for your active responses. Okay, thank you, and see you another time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And okay, I almost forgot. Could you guys please read the chat feature? There's an information about the next session. On 1:30 to 4:30 p.m. the plenary keynote session, Benjamin Slater and May Aradol Ingawanich. You may join the next session at 1:30. So I guess I'll see you guys there then. See you some other time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pak.
Thank you. See you.
Thank you.
Thank you.